Share screen. So the first thing that I'm showing right now is the login screen. So on the login screen, it looks pretty much the same as when not from 9.2 to 9.1. The only reason I'm showing you this screen is because we are going to have a feature that's going to be available for the first 90 days after we go live, which is the Evolve video series. The software developer has put together some video trainings that they make available to applicants and to the staff. So you'll see down at the bottom over here, it says video series. So there's some links where you can click on getting started, accepting a task, and downloading approved plans. Again, they're in the during the training itself, on the e-forms that you guys are typically filling out or looking at, there are certain places on those e-forms where you can see additional training videos, and we'll highlight those as we go along through the immersion session. So that's just the reason why I'm showing you this this screen. For those of you that use Internet Explorer, which we're recommending right now that you do, because we are having some issues with the other browsers and the way that it views files, which we're very close to fixing, that when we go to 9.2, you do not need to install any additional components. But if you've never installed the components on Internet Explorer, this is the area where you install the ActiveX tools to view files. So you would just click here to install. If you don't have permissions to install on your company's laptop or desktop, then you would need your IT to assist you with installing that. But if you already have it installed, when we go to 9.2, no new software needs to be installed. The viewer for the files is the same version. It's just the software, the plan review software, the main software is what's being upgraded to 9.2. The stuff that you see is the user interface and not the screens with the plans that you open up. So I'll go ahead and log in. So the first thing that you will notice when you log in is that the user interface does look a little different. They tried to clean it up a little bit. There's used to be more buttons along this portion of the screen. They've tried to consolidate the buttons into the middle portion, the main portion of their software. And you'll see when we get into the projects, they're dealing with that with tabs versus having buttons. So it's all kind of consolidated into one location in terms of what you're actually trying to achieve. Again, when you're logging in here, we see now we have tasks and we still have projects. Those don't change. The items that do change are there's some differences on the columns. What you notice on the tasks tab is the action column. The action column helps you know where you're at with that particular task. Again, the action's telling you what you can do when you press the button. It doesn't mean that's where you're at with that task. That accept button means you're going to accept the task. So if you see an item on your task list that says accept, that means somebody in your group still needs to accept that task to do the work, whether to upload plans, respond to comments, etc. If it says complete, then that means that would be what you're trying to do if you press that button. You're trying to complete your task, which means you've uploaded your plans, or you're going to upload the remaining plans, respond to the remaining comments, and then you're going to complete your task to return it back to the city. So don't be confused by the button names. Again, the column calls it action, and that's the action you will be taking. The action is accepting the task, or the action is completing the task. So that's the item that they've added really on this screen. The remainder is the same in terms of the columns that are available to you. Just like in 9.1, 9.2 allows you the customability of adjusting your columns. So if you've never adjusted the columns or frozen columns that you didn't really care about, you can do that, and we'll walk you through it. So I've reset back to the original. If you're on the original screen, this is how it would look like if you've never adjusted your columns. You can grab the column and drag it over to the location that you want it to be. And you can also click on columns that you don't want to see, like you don't care when this task was created. You can click on the column itself and you have options where you can just hide that column. You also have an option to do a column chooser, which will allow you to hide or show columns in one spot versus having to do it, one by one by one. So once you've got it, once you have your columns situated the way that you want, you click on Save Settings, and that saves this grid for you. So anytime you log in, the task tab will be the same. Whether you log in on your work computer, your personal computer, different browsers, that saves it to your profile. It's not specific to the browser in terms of how it saves the display on the columns. When we go into projects themselves, they have a little bit different. They added a new column as well. It's called action. They got rid of the other column that used to have where it would show you the task instructions and potentially adding it to your calendar. They decommissioned that feature. What they've added now instead is they have the action area where you can, by clicking on these specific icons, it takes you into the project to specific locations within the project. So the first button is the project task icon. You click on that icon, it'll take you into your project to the task location where you can accept the task or complete the task. If you click on the next icon, that is the project status icon. That's a new feature that's in Project Docs 9.2, and that'll take you to the project status area of the project. The next one, next to that one, is project reports. So if you wanted to go straight into and run some reports for the project, you click on that icon. It'll take you directly to the reports section. The I is the project view/edit, which is basically the project information. So it gives you some basic information. So if you wanted to see some of that information on the project, you would click that and it would take you directly to there. The next icon next to that is the files icon, and that'll take you directly to the project files of that project. And so that just lets you go specifically to different locations of the project right away if you're on the projects tab. The link next to there under the project column, if you click on that, that'll take you directly into the project. Again, project number, this gives you information like for public works, it's the 3- number. Planning's number would be the permit number like H20-055. For utilities, it would be the utility permit number. And then this gives you the project location. And then for the people that are here for utilities, the utilities would have the utility company's job number in this project number area. It stays the same in terms of what you see in these two columns. Owner is more who is the project coordinator of the project. So in this case, you'll see the owner is me. So I'm the project coordinator of this particular project. Where it says Amanda user, that means nobody has been assigned as the project coordinator to that project at that point, and it tells you the status of where the project is at that particular location. If you have a project that's approved, it has the status of approved. If you click on the approved link, that will take you to the files under the approved folder. You can also just download everything that's from the approved plans folder directly from this screen. So you actually don't have to go into the project to get that information. If there's multiple files in the approved folder, it will download them all into a zip file that you can then unzip and have access to without actually having to go into the project to download the files. The other thing that I will talk about is there's still the recent and all. Again, recent are projects that you have, you've been in within the last 15 or 30 days. All are every project that you have available that you're in some kind of role, either an applicant role or a consultant role. So those are all things that you may not have active tasks for, whether they're approved permits or in progress or in the middle of a city review. These are all the projects that you have some kind of role in those projects. So again, if you're trying to find a project and you can't find it, you might want to look and see, are you in the recent project or are you in the all project? So if you're in the recent and can't find it, you want to switch to all to find the specific project that you want. The other item that I'll bring up right now is that Project Docs remembers now in 9.2 exactly where you're at, either in the home screen or in the projects page of your projects. So if you're on the home screen and you're on the projects tab with the all button turned on, and if I log out and I log back in, when I log back in, I will end up on the projects tab with the all with all projects on the project tab. If I had logged out on the recent projects, when I log back in, it would be on the recent project. If I was on the tasks tab when I logged out and I logged back in, I would end up on the task tab. So it remembers where you're at versus always defaulting to be on the projects tab under with recents selected. It just remembers your last preference and it takes you back to that location on the next time that you log in. So with that, that's just a basic screen of the projects. What we'll go into now is we will go into an actual project where I have a task. So we'll see one that is an applicant upload task. So this is at the very beginning of a project. And so I'm going to click and go into the project itself. And that's what we always recommend. You go into the project versus trying to do all the work from the task tab and doing it within the eForm. When you're in the project, you're able to see a lot of different other items if you're trying to get there, and you have more options while you're in the project screen. So in here, last time I was in a project, I was in the Files tab, so it took me directly to the Files tab in this location. Again, since I'm here, I'm just going to delete these two files. And so where you're in this screen here, what we'll talk about before I bring up the eForm, and I'll show you two differences, is in version 9.2, the eForm is going to look a little different. The eForm is the pop-up that shows up where you choose the file or folder location where you're uploading plans. You also have access to a review/change mark log that was there, so you could see the city's comments. And that's where you would basically complete your task as well, where you say you've uploaded all your plans and then return it back to the city. For projects that have started in version 9.1, the eForm is going to look a little different. It's going to look the same as what it did currently. It's going to have the new feel of the 9.2 user interface, but in terms of the options that we're talking about in 9.2, those aren't going to be there for the most part because they're using the older version of the eForm tabs. And so there's no way to upgrade those ones that have started from 9.1 to 9.2, but all projects that get started after Monday, those ones will have all the new features that we're talking about today. Again, you'll see something on the eForm that would be the same between 9.1 and 9.2, and I'll talk about that. So I'll go ahead and I will accept the task. You can accept the task by clicking on the button or just clicking on the link itself. I'll click on the button. And when I do that, it pops up the eForm. So the top portion of the eForm will look the same between 9.1 and 9.2, where you have permit information. So this is the information from our permitting system. We have contact information. These are the people that are associated in our permitting system and what their respective roles are in our permitting system. And we also have a helpful links tab. That helpful links tab it's customizable between Public Works, Planning, and Fire. So we have our own helpful links for Public Works that take you to like our Public Works resources page. Planning will have a link that'll take you to their planning resources page. So these are links that help you get to certain things if you're trying to figure out, I need the user guide, or I need to go to the SJePlans, resources page, or whatever you need to get to. This will help you get to those locations by going to the helpful links when you have the eForm. If you don't have an eForm, what I will bring up, if you don't have an eForm and you want to go to the SJePlans resource page, all you have to do is click on the SJePlans logo at the top left portion of the screen, and that will launch and take you to our SJePlans resources page. I'm not going to click on it here because this is the test environment, and the test environment doesn't have a link that takes you to that page. Go ahead, Derek. I see you have a question.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know. Perhaps it's just my phone. The screen sharing is not showing up.
Is it not showing?
Yeah, I mean, it was earlier, but it's not currently.
I'm showing my entire screen. Is everyone else seeing the screen, or?
I can see it.
I can see it.
Yeah, I'm showing the entire screen and not a specific window, so I don't know. It might be the phone. Wow. It might be the phone.
Must be my phone. Okay. Sorry, my apologies.
No worries. So the one thing that you will notice that's different as you get further down, there's still the task instructions on this screen. When you get to the next part, what they've added for 9.2, we're able to add step-by-step instructions where we say step 1, upload your plans, step 2, do this, step 3, do this. So it gives you a little bit more direction on what you need to do during this eForm. And while I'm at this stage, I'll go ahead and bring up another screen. So this is a project that was started with the 9.1. And so you'll notice on this screen, when I bring it up, you see the task instructions. Between the two, you have a task instructions, and then we go to step 1 where it shows you the plans. On the 9.1, it has task instructions, and it has an area for resolving comments, so where you see comments, and then you go scroll down, and this is where you would upload the specific plans by choosing which folder you wanted to upload in if you were trying to upload the plans through this eForm. Back on 9.2 now, the ordering is a little different. The first step is, hey, you need to upload some plans. This tells you where you can, instead of seeing the tree view of selecting, go ahead, I see your hand up. You're muted right now, so I can't hear you. So you're still muted, sir. Go, if you can get unmuted, go ahead and interrupt me, but I'll continue moving because I can't hear what you said because you were muted. On this screen right here, if you go through, you basically now we're replacing that tree form with buttons, and these buttons are a little bit easier for you to figure out where you're going to be uploading the documents. So you can either upload them in plans, upload them in documents. We will have a third option for public works. It's called miscellaneous plans. Planning has another option. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a third option for planning, I think, that would show up where you could upload different items.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, very quick. Sometimes you upload plans and then maybe a day later or a couple of hours later, you want to replace the plan that you send in with the new plan. Can you do that by uploading plan over the old one?
Yeah, so at the very beginning of the project, at the applicant upload stage, or at the pre-screen correction stage, you can delete files that you've uploaded. If you are in the applicant resubmittal stage or applicant correction stage, which is you're going on to a second review cycle, you cannot delete the files. That's for integrity of the system. You can request from your project manager, project coordinator to delete the files, or the project coordinator can give you temporary access to delete files at that particular time. So if you did upload something by mistake, reach out to project coordinator. The project coordinator could give you download or delete permissions, and then you could delete the files, and then you let them know that you're done deleting files, and then they'll take away the permissions. But it's meant for us to have control in terms of, not that you're going to do this, but if somebody uploads, version 1 through plans 1 through 5 on the first submittal, we don't have a comment on the sheet 5, and then the person goes and deletes sheet 5 and they replace it with a new sheet 5, and we're not aware that you replaced it with new sheet 5, that we could have comments on this new sheet because we didn't have comments on the first sheet. So it may be missed, and you may have something where we do have a comment on it. So we want to know that if you upload a new sheet for sheet 5, even though we didn't have a comment on it on the first submittal, we now see it's a separate version, it's version 2. So that way we can say, okay, it changed between the first submittal and the second submittal. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't allow out of the box where you could delete the file, but we can give you the permissions.
Yeah, it can be very confusing if you keep uploading. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the items that I'll highlight before we get into uploading the plans is what we talked about, the video series. Within here, you have anytime you see a link that says Learn How, if you click on that link, it will launch a new window and it'll launch the training video. These are more generic from the software developer, so it's not specific to our workflow, but it is pretty much 90%, 99% will get you to where you need to go in terms of the instructions. So this is an instructional video of uploading files. It'll walk you step by step on what to do. If you still have questions after that, we do have a user guide that we have on our resources page. And if you still have questions after that, obviously you can reach out to your project coordinator and they can help you out with whatever issues you're having at that particular moment, whether it's to delete files or you're not sure what's going on with the system. So in here now, it makes it a little bit easier. If you know I'm going to upload plans, you click on Upload Plans, and what that does, it just launches the browser or the pop-up that lets you upload plans. What you have the option is to browse for files, so that'll bring up the option, the pop-up where you choose files from like a certain network location. You also have the ability to go to a folder. Let me just minimize, where you can go straight into your folder and you can drag and drop some files. So let's say I'm submitting the first submittal. I can drop it in a zip file. I can drop them in as individual files, and it would upload the files. They've added color coding to the system when you first put the files into this area. Orange means that they are new uploads. That means they're not going to be versioned. Blue files, it means that it thinks that the files are different between what you uploaded from the first submittal to the second submittal. So it'll get a new version. So it'll become V2 or V3, V4. Red means that file is basically the same exact file that you just uploaded in the first submittal. And so the system is probably going to discard that file and it won't upload it and it won't get versioned. Go ahead, Camille.
2 questions. Are those delineations, the blue, red, orange, is that actually reading the file or is it just reading the file name?
It reads the file name. So if you have it as a different file name and it was the first sheet, then it's going to think it's a brand new file that you're uploading. If you have it as the same file name, it'll read the metadata about the files and figures out if it's the same exact thing or not. But if you had a PDF that you saved yesterday and your PDF that you saved today and they're the same exact files, because the time stamping or the time coding on those 2 files are different, it's going to read it as 2 different files and it'll version the file. But if they're the same exact one, then it'll read it. If it's the same one from the same stamp time and all that stuff, it'll think it's the same exact thing and it won't version the file at all.
Makes sense. Perfect. And my second question is, would we be able to choose, if we select upload, would we be able to select opening the new window as a new tab rather than an entirely new window?
Unfortunately, no, that their product does not allow us to have a setting. Sometimes they have settings where they say, if you click on the link to open up the file, it opens up in a new tab or opens up in a new window. For the uploads, they don't have that option. It just opens up in a new window by itself and not a new tab.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. So again, what we're talking about here is you have the area where it's orange, blue, red. Again, if I want to, I can grab more files and drag them into here. There's really no limit. It just will take a long time if you have a lot of files to potentially upload and then get them into the system. If you have multiple files in here, it waits till all the files are uploaded. So when you're going to upload, you have to click Start Upload. When it's uploading, do not close this form. If you close this form, then it will not continue and finish the uploading. So it waits for all the files to be uploaded, and then it moves those files into which folder you asked it to install or upload the files to. So in here, you'll click on Start Upload. So this is the same between 9.1 and 9.2, other than the color coding. But the difference between 9.1 and 9.2, in 9.1, when it finishes uploading, it would have the pop-up would stay, it would just change, and it would ask you to close that window. In 9.2, after it's done uploading, the window just closes because in 9.2, it shows you if those files are going to be versioned or not versioned right off the bat, versus when 9.1, it waits until after all the files have been uploaded, and then it shows you all the files you uploaded, and then it gave you a color coding of blue, this means it was versioned, or red, this means it was removed. Camille, do you still have a question, or was that still the hand up from the previous?
Sorry, I'll unraise.
All right, thank you. So again, now that I've uploaded the files, I go to the Files tab. You will see here that there's files, the files are uploaded. The one thing that I will talk about with this project is with the 9.2, when you went to the main screen, typically in 9.1, you had a screen that was just basically your tasks, and on the left side, it was a tree view of all the folders that you had access to upload or view or download or print files from. In 9.2, they basically eliminated that. They basically took everything and made them into their own separate tabs to allow you to move back and forth between the items, and they've kind of centralized it, like I said, so you don't have buttons that you would have to click, like the Reports tab. There was a button up here where you would click on Reports to see the project reports. Now it's all centralized within this area for you to have access to in one location. So this area is just primarily focused on tasks where you can accept the task and complete the task. You also have the ability to see the workflow, just like you can in 9.1. If you click on the workflow, this just basically shows you where you're at with the current workflow. The green means that's where you're at currently. So that means we're at the applicant upload, and it would go to different stages throughout the workflow, whether it's during pre-screen, back to pre-screen corrections, or if we are assigning the reviewers, which is routing the plans, or department review, where the groups are doing the review of the actual plans that you uploaded. So when you're looking at the workflow, it tells you wherever the green is, that is where you're at with the workflow, and it should have a description kind of as to where that's at. So you can look at that and figure out where the workflow is. But we can also talk about we'll talk about the status tab, which will also help you figure out where your project's at overall. So back to the files, you'll see here, these are the files that I was able to upload. Again, you can upload from the eForm by clicking on the button with the pop-up showing up. You can also upload files by going to the Files tab and going to the specific folder and clicking upload files button. That one will bring up the same pop-up where you drag the files in and upload the files into the project under which specific folder that you've selected. If you have a folder that you do not have access to upload, if you clicked on the folder, it would not have the upload button. So later on in the workflow for Public Works, we have a folder called City Additional Redline Plans or something like that. You'll get access to that because we may put some more complex comments in that folder, but you would not have the ability to upload to that folder. That folder would just be for you to view the specific file, download, print it, and then your response would be on the plans themselves when you upload based on the revision of the plans from the comments, for you to actually do that upload to get the comments addressed. So the next portion of this is the status tab. So this, like I said, was a brand new feature from 9.1 to 9.2. The status tells you basic information about the project. You'll see that the review type is Public Works. If it's a planning one, it'll say planning. If it's fire, it'll say fire. It tells you how many total files there are in all of the folders. It also tells you how much time has elapsed for this particular project. You'll see this one has been around for 61 days and 15 hours. How many pre-screen unresolved comments there are, time with the jurisdiction, how long has it been with the city, how long has it been with the applicant. So that's a chess clock type thing. So you can see, hey, the city's had it for, a month, but the applicant's had it for 6 months. And so why is the project delayed? Well, it's been with the applicant for 6 months versus the city to 1 month, or vice versa. It's been with the city for 6 months, but the applicant has turned around stuff quickly in 1 month. So the delays with the city versus with the applicant. So it's kind of a chess clock that lets you know how long has it been with each person, the applicant and the city. It tells you, so you can figure out potentially why the project is delayed. It also tells you the status of where you're at with the project. Again, you can look at that through the workflow, but it also tells you here, hey, you're at the applicant upload stage. If it was department review stage, it would say, hey, it's at the department review stage. And how long has it been at the applicant upload stage? Currently, it's 0 days and 4 hours. So you can figure out basically where the project's at. How long have you had this particular task? Because this is total time with the applicant and total time with the jurisdiction. This is the current total time with the applicant, just at the current stage that you're at. And then current non-completed tasks, there's one because you have the applicant upload task that you still need to complete. And in here, you can find, if this is under department review, in this screen, this is where you can do a workflow routing slip that gives you a quick report, and that'll tell you who has it been routed to and where those current reviews are at, whether some people are done with their reviews or some people are still in the middle of the reviews. That workflow routing slip lets you know exactly who's still doing reviews and who's completed the reviews at that current cycle when it's at the department review stage. The info tab is basic information. This exists in 9.1. It just tells you, again, project name, which is the permit number in our Amanda permitting system. Project number is the same number that you see here. So it's basically, these two are the same that you see at the top of the screen. The contact is who we have listed as the E-plan applicant in our permitting system. So that's the person we have as the main contact for the application, while there could be additional applicants. I will get back to the e-form, but I just want to kind of go through the rest of these tabs. And again, you have some additional information about what's the project type. It tells you it's a parcel map, who's the project coordinator, and some additional information here. You have a reports tab, and that reports tab lets you run all the different project reports if you want to see certain items like change mark logs and things like that. Now we'll go back to the form itself. Close this tab too. On the form itself, after you've uploaded, you'll see the files you've uploaded in here. Again, because this is at the applicant upload stage, or again, if it's pre-screen correction stage, you have the ability to delete the files that you uploaded. So if you uploaded something incorrectly, you can delete them directly from this area here, or you can delete them from the Files tab in the main project page. You can, at that point, select them all, select one or two, and then delete them there. If you're on the e-form itself, you can only delete one at a time. So if you want to delete multiple, you probably want to delete those from the Files tab of the main project screen, because that'll save you some button clicks. And again, if you had some documents, you'd be able to, it would show you the documents that you've uploaded into there. So after you've done the uploads, you move on to step 2. Step 2, this also existed within the existing e-form. This allows you to add additional people to the applicant group. So if for some reason, let's say I'm going to go on vacation, I'm the applicant and I'm going to go on vacation, but I haven't finished uploading all the plans, I can add somebody else into the applicant group, and then I could reassign the task back to the group. So let's say I add Jennifer Piozze into the applicant group, and then Jennifer can then accept the task to finish uploading the plans while I'm on vacation to return it to the city, instead of having it wait for me to finish when I come back 2 weeks later to get it back to the city. When you've added people to either the applicant, consultant, or applicant view only, you do have the ability to delete people from those groups as well. So you'll see under applicant, I can go in and I can remove a user if that person is no longer going to be working on the project. Again, you have the ability to do this while you have the e-form. If you do not have a task and you need to add somebody to the applicant group, that's where you will contact your project coordinator and ask them to add that person to the applicant group directly. And then that way, if it comes from the city back to you, that person that we've added to the applicant group would get notified so that they can go and start responding to the comments while you're on vacation or on leave or whatever. So again, this is an area where you can manage your own groups themselves while you have a task available. Again, the applicants can accept tasks, they can respond to comments, they can upload plans. Consultants can view comments, which we'll get to when we get to the applicant correction stage. They can view comments, but they can't respond to comments. They can upload revised plan sheets, but again, they can't accept the task and they can't complete the task or respond to comments. So that's the applicant's role. We added a consultant just to help the applicants. If you had different, traffic signal consultant, landscaping consultant, all those other different consultants, you can add them to that group so they can upload their respective changed files into the system. After you finish step 2, again, this is not a required step, it is an optional step, but it's a good step to have if you wanted to add people. You go to step 3, that means, hey, have I actually uploaded everything and it's ready to submit to the city? And if you do say yes, it's ready to submit to the city, you put the check mark next to there that you've completed all the uploads. And then step 4 is to complete the task, which is to click on the upload complete button. So if I go ahead and click on upload complete, that means I'm done. And I'll say okay. And when I go back to the task tab, you'll notice that I have no more task here. If I go to the status page, now it'll tell me, right now it's still at applicant upload because we haven't actually started the pre-screen process. But you'll see now it's at 0 days, 0 hours because we moved on beyond this step to the next step, which is the city step. So now it's no longer with the applicant and now back with the city. So you can see where you're at going into here. Just really quick, I'm going to go back to the home screen. And when I go to the tasks, you'll notice, hey, I have no more tasks. That task that I just completed is no longer on the task list. Again, the task tab is what tasks you have active, whether they're still pending for you to accept to do the work or for you to complete the task. Those are the only ones that show up in the task. So if you don't have any tasks, that means you have nothing that you have to do. But again, you can always find your project by clicking on the projects tab, clicking on the recent projects to see your recent projects, or clicking on the all to see all projects. And again, what we talked about in other sessions that we've had, you can filter through and find your project. So if you know what the permit number is, you can filter by the permit number. If you know what the project number is, like the 3- number, or let's say the utility company, if you know what your utility company job number is, you can put that start typing into the project number, and it'll start filtering through those projects that meet the criteria that you're typing in. So I'm going to go back to the tasks. So we finished at this point the applicant upload task, but I'll highlight right now is the applicant corrections and the additional new features that are available to the applicants, which I think are very good. So what we'll do here is that you'll see I have an applicant resubmit task for this joint trench permit. So I'm going to click on the link to go to that project. Again, it remembered where I was at the last time. On any project, I was at the status tab. So when I clicked on the project, it took me directly to the status. If I was on the home page and I saw the project under the recent projects, I could go directly, let's say I want to go directly to the tasks. I can click on the project task icon that we talked about earlier, and it'll take me directly to the project with the project task tab already selected and opened. So in here, I have an applicant resubmit task. So I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to accept this task. When you accept, the e-form shows up. And this has some new features that's different from 9.2. First, we'll highlight the new features on the e-form, and then I'll show you when we get to a certain point here, I'll go to the project and highlight a new good feature that's there in 9.2 as well. Same thing as with the applicant upload, you have the permit information, the contact information, helpful links. You do have a tab now that says review results. You'll see who had done reviews for your project and what are the statuses of those, whether it's corrections required, which means they had comments that you need to address, or if the status is complete, that means that that particular reviewer had no more comments, so they shouldn't have any more comments on the plans for you to address for that particular group. Task instructions, again, anytime you see learn how, up in here and down in here, these will launch videos will help that you can see to help you through those particular steps. Again, these are available for the first 90 days after we go live on Monday. So take advantage of that while you can. What you'll see down here, it's the same within the new, if you start at 9.1 or 9.2, this window will be the same because it replaced the old version. So whether you had 9.1 project or a 9.2 project, you'll see these options over here. Before in 9.1, there were two buttons that were available for you to view. There was one that said review checklist items, and the other one was to see change mark items. Checklist items were more generic comments that could have been placed from the project coordinator about your plans or about your project that you needed to address, let's say pay fees, or you had the wrong standard border, or things of that nature that you needed to do. It was more generic and not specific to that particular plan sheet. That's what the change marks were. Now they've consolidated, or checklist items. Change marks were specific comments on the plans that were added as comments to the plans sheets themselves. What they've done now is they've consolidated the two checklists and change marks into one log to make it more convenient, so you don't have to go to two different places to see the different comments to try to respond. So if you see there, it just says review comments. Those review comments could be a combination of checklist items or change mark items, which they've changed the name from checklist to library comments, which means they're generic comments. And then there's also new features for the department reviewers where they can just add generic comments to your project, regardless of who they are, versus previously, the only way you could add a generic comment was if you had library comments or checklist comments. Now it allows everybody to add some additional comments that are just generic to your project files versus having to actually add a change mark to the plans if it was just generic. So what you would do here is you would launch the review comments, and this opens up the tasks, which is like the change mark log. And in here, you're able to see all the different comments from the different groups. And what you'll notice now, they have different items where they are questions, so that somebody can ask a question of you, or you also have the ability with this to add a comment or ask a question back to the project team. When you add your comment or question, it doesn't email the people, the project coordinator, with that comment every time you do it. It's more you're adding a comment or a question when you return it back to the city. So what I can see for you guys to do, if you want to keep your notes together or your thoughts, all your questions, you could add all your questions here, and then you could translate that to an email that you send to the project coordinator and get into a call to talk with the project coordinator about your comments or questions. And then you have the ability, when you add your comment, you can say, when you add your comment, you can add it, and then you have the ability to delete the comment that you added. So again, you could keep it all. These are all your thoughts of what you're seeing on the plans that you're not necessarily wanting to respond to because they're questions. They're not like, oh, I've addressed your comment, and that's what I'm going to put as the response here. Then you can, again, when you're done with it, you can come back and you can delete it before you return it to the city, and then it's just gone. So you'll see there's questions. There's some items that the city staff can mark as information only. So it's just for your information, we're giving you a heads up about something. You're not going to be responding to it. There's no area for you to respond because, again, it's just an FYI. If you have comments that say unresolved, these are either generic comments that you need to resolve, like let's say, pay the fees before you can move on, and you say, okay, I've paid the fees. And then it would become like a resolved comment. Or if it's an actual change mark comment that's on the plans, you would be able to respond to the comments over here. Similar to 9.1 in the change mark log, if it's a change mark item that's a review comment on the plans themselves, you will have a thumbnail that's visible. And if you click on the thumbnail, it brings it up in a bigger screen to kind of show you where the change mark was placed on the plans. And so it helps you figure out, based on what they're commenting, where is that comment showing up. And so I will add a disclaimer that these are Kieran Wright plans. The comments that I'm adding on these plans are not real comments. I just added comments for this immersion session, so it's not a reflection of any design work that was done on these plans, just as a disclaimer. And so in here, you can click on the thumbnails to view them. The one thing that they've added from the screen that's a nice feature is if you click on the link itself, it'll open up the viewer with that change mark layer turned on, and it'll take you directly to that location where that comment is on the plan. So I'll go ahead and do that. If I click on the 001. So it's launching the sheet. And then it takes me directly to that change mark location. While I'm there, it allows me to scroll through the other comments on that change mark layer that was done by that same user, and I can go through that area. We'll get to this screen a little bit later. I want to just continue with the eForm right now. So the other thing with the eForm that's nice is you don't have to print. If you wanted to get the comments on the PDF, and you would have to print or publish those sheets with the comments on there for you to have it. The version with 9.2 is you'll see this little download icon. You click on the download icon, you'll see the tooltip says download Markup PDF. That'll basically do the publish for you, where you can click on that and it will open up the file automatically, and it'll basically do what you did with the publish. It'll show you all the comments from that review layer already on a PDF. So from there, you can then save this PDF into a network location and email it out to somebody if that's what you want to do. But you're able to see all the review comments that are placed on these plans from that particular reviewer for that review cycle. So this screen over here, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and close this window. This review comments is what they've also added as a new feature in 9.2 is there's a review tab. So this tab will show up when you get to either pre-screen corrections or at the applicant resubmittal task. It's basically the same thing as that viewer, but it's self-contained within this screen. So in here, and then this also will be available to anybody that's in the applicant group or consultants group, whether they've accepted the task or not. So anybody that's in that group that comes to this project, as long as you're at that stage of applicant corrections or pre-screen corrections or applicant resubmit, they'll be able to go to this reviews tab and they see the same comments that were on that log that you launched from the eForm. So they can see all the comments. They will not be able to respond to the comments if they don't have a task. Since I have accepted the task, I can respond to the comments. But if you're just in the applicant group or the consultant group, these would be grayed out where you're not able to provide a response. But it gives them the ability to actually see the plans, and they also have the ability to do the same thing, download the Markup PDF for that particular review comment on that particular sheet from that reviewer.
Question.
So within the same area here, whether you're on the review comments log or you're on the review tab, you have the ability to filter through comments. You have the ability to see which department review comments that you want to look at particularly. If you want to see a street lighting, signal, landscaping, whatever, you can see those particular comments just by clicking on the particular one, or you can see everybody's comments. The type, you can see if you want to see only markup comments, you click on markup. If you want to see inquiry comments, which are questions, you can do that. If you had just generic comments, you can look at the generic comments to provide the responses. And again, you can look at markups or show them all. The status, again, you can go by the status of the markups or the comments. You can again look at unresolved comments. You can look at resolved comments if there are any. You can look at questions, info only, or all. You can look at the different review cycles to see comments from each cycle or all cycles. Responses, if you want to see ones that have responses to the right section over here. You want to see ones with responses or you want to see ones without responses, then you would click on that. And you can also sort them by newest to oldest for the comments that were added to the plans. You also have the ability to search. So if, let's say, I want to do a keyword search, if somebody had something about fees, I can type in fees and then it'll bring up the item that has that keyword search. If after I'm done, I clear it and hit enter in there, and it'll bring up everything back to what was there. So, but you have the ability to search through the text of the comments to see if there's anything specific that you're looking for that a person may have commented on. So again, now this adds, just to reiterate, this review tab is available at pre-screen corrections and at applicant resubmit. And everybody that is an applicant or a consultant has access to this tab, but only the applicant who has accepted the task is able to provide responses here. While it may seem daunting right here just to try to add all the responses, we are, I'll get the next portion that I'm going to show you is going to help alleviate some of that issue. In that same area under step 1 and 2, or step 1 of 5, next to the review comments, you'll see there's a new button that says export to Excel. What that does is it'll basically export all of those review comments that we were looking at in the reviews tab into an Excel spreadsheet. And that Excel spreadsheet will allow you to answer all the questions or provide your responses on the Excel. So that way, if you guys have like a SharePoint site that you share with your consultants, you can put the file into that SharePoint site, have everybody go in and provide the responses to the Excel on the Excel file. And then after you've provided all the responses, you'd be able to import that Excel file and upload all of your responses in one go versus having to do it one by one through this screen. You're able to do it through Excel. So I'll go ahead and export this to Excel. You have the ability to export it as a single Excel sheet. The single Excel sheet will basically give everybody's comments from all the different review groups into one Excel for you to provide the responses, or you can do multiple Excel files, which will give you all the different departments' comments as different Excel files. So if you have a signal, landscaping, street lighting, you can download those as separate Excel files and then distribute those Excel files to the appropriate consultant to provide responses for, and then you can come back and upload those one by one after you receive the responses from your consultants. So right now I'm just going to click and download one single Excel. So when it opens, you'll see that there's areas that are grayed out. So those grayed out areas are areas that are locked. You cannot do anything in there. Again, you'll notice this one's completely grayed out through the entire because it's an information only. It's an info only comment. So it's info only. When it's info only, there's no area for you to provide a comment. But you'll be able to see here the comments from the city. And then here's your response item where you can do that. The other nice thing with this log is after you've downloaded it, it has a feature similar to what you're looking at on the reviews tab, which was the download button. It has a link that says open. If you click on that link, it'll launch a web browser. And it'll open up that as a PDF, just like on the other sheet. Instead of opening up in Adobe, it opens up in Adobe in the web. And you can then see the review comments directly from that log. So you actually don't have to be in Project Docs at all. You could just have the Excel sheet and you can see the comments, and then you can click on open and it'll take you to the file that has all of those comments. And then when you hover over the notepad, it has what the comments state. So again, you can look at it through the comments through here or back on the Excel, but this is again showing you these are the comments that were placed on this plan from that particular reviewer. So then you can respond to the comments. There's no need for you to go back to Project Docs or SJePlans to see the files or see the comments. You're able to just basically look at it from here and just do it that way. And then again, they can provide the responses in the Excel, give that back to the main applicant, and then the applicant can go in and upload. So the one thing that I will talk about this Excel is if for some reason somebody wrote a response in Project Docs itself or San Jose ePlan. So if I go back to here and I provide a response of my response and I click out, that's saved into here. But if somebody goes into the Excel and adds a response to this question in that Excel file and you upload it, it'll wipe out the previous person's comment of my response. It'll wipe it out and put whatever the new comment is. It doesn't say, hey, I'm going to append to this comment, because it doesn't know, do you want to append to it or do you want to remove that comment and replace it completely? So it just assumes if you have the comment in the Excel file, that's your official comment, and it'll wipe out whatever comment was written manually in SJePlans on the reviews tab. The other nice feature here, before I go back to the Excel file, the other nice feature within 9.2 is it removes a lot of these button clicks when you're adding responses. If you recall in 9.1, when you add a response, there's like this green checkbox that you have to click, and then you have to click another button to save your response before you could close the change mark log. With 9.2, when you add your response and you click out, that's it. It saved your comment. There's no additional steps for you to have to save that comment. So if you want to go back and revise that comment, you just click back in, delete some of your comments, click out, and it saved that comment automatically. So it does save you some time if you're trying to add your responses directly through Project Docs or San Jose ePlans. So in here, what we're going to do is I'm going to just do a quick copy and paste. With my responses, I'm going to save this. I don't know where I saved it. Let me just change the save location. And then what I will do, find that file. So I have the file over here. And then what I can do is I can import the Excel comments. So I can browse for the file. And then let me close this and go back. So when I load it in, it loads it in, and then it tells you right then and there that it added 14 responses. One response was replaced, so it lets you know that, hey, it overwrote somebody's comment that was there. So if you didn't know somebody had placed a comment, then you can freak out to figure out which comment was replaced and if the comment you said was the right comment or not. But that's, again, coordination on your end. Responses ignored because they were completed status. It ignored one because it was one of those was an information only comment. And then it also has how many review comments are still missing responses, and how many responses with invalid reference numbers. So for some reason you tried to do your own Excel file to upload, it's not going to accept that file. It's going to tell you all your responses were rejected because it's not the official file that came from the system that you need to provide the responses to. So if you did choose the option to export the Excels into multiple Excels based on the different department reviews, this is where you would come in and say, okay, I've got the second file for the street lighting that I'm going to upload, and I'm going to upload the signal comments, the landscape comments, all that stuff. So this is where as you get each individual one, you can go in and browse and upload those comments to respond to the city's comments. And again, there's a learn how, so you can learn how to do that. It'll give you some more information as you go along. But that's one of the biggest new features that we have in 9.2 that's hopefully going to make your lives easier in terms of responding to the comments and seeing all the different comments, and if actually able to see the comments and not having to be within SJePlans Project Docs to reply to the comments or see the comments. Now we'll move on to step 2. When you're on step 2, this is where you are going to, this is another improvement between 9.1 and 9.2. This one allows you to now, after your initial upload, you have to upload the files using our standard naming convention. On the subsequent submittals, you don't need to have the files if they're replacement files, if you have version 1, version 2 for version 1, you don't have to name them the same as our naming convention. Within here, it's asking you, hey, are the updated files you're inserting named the same as the prior versions? If you say yes, then it'll take you to a location where you just upload your plans. The same thing that you saw on the applicant upload. I'm going to upload to the plans folder. I'm going to upload to the documents folder. I'm going to upload to the miscellaneous plans folder. If you are going to have your own naming convention or your own file names, and you're just going to replace the individual sheets, you can click on no. And what this does, it launches a browser viewer or a pop-up where now the system is a little bit smarter, where it says, hey, these 3 files have markups, so we think you're supposed to replace these 3 sheets. If you are going to replace other sheets that didn't have markups, you could click on all project files, and this would show you every single project file that's in the folder, and you're able to select which file you're going to upload. So in this case, let's say I have a cover sheet that I'm going to upload. I can do select file, and I can say I'm going to upload this thing that's called Applicant What's New. That's my sheet 1. So that tells me here, Applicant What's New is the new version of 001 IPCS. So as long as you know that that is the correct one that you're going to upload, then you can just click on Start Upload, and the system will rename your file to 001 IPCS. So at that point, after the first submittal, unless it's a brand new sheet, then you would be able to upload the files as whatever file name you had it on your network drive or your hard drive or wherever, and the system will rename the file for you. But if you have a new file, like you're adding a new sheet in between sheets or adding a new sheet at the end, you still have to name that file per the naming convention because it's a brand new file. This just allows you to upload files that were already uploaded that you need to replace with a different file name. There is currently a small bug that we're getting, that the software company is aware of, and we're getting them to fix. You're able to supposedly do multiple files at once, but right now there's an issue that after the first one finishes uploading, it closes this form and the other documents don't get uploaded. So to start with, when you're at this stage, you'd have to do it one by one, which is cumbersome, but hopefully by the time, again, this is a new feature that's only available for new projects starting with 9.2. Hopefully by the time you get to the spot when you're doing an applicant resubmit for a new project, that issue is going to be resolved. So we're hoping to get a hot fix for that relatively soon, where you could select multiple files and upload them in one shot versus saying, I'm going to just choose one file and hit start upload and then be done with it, and then move on to the next file. So if you're looking at it here, when I look at the files, it's uploaded the file and it's set it to version 2 for 001 IPCS. It completely renamed the file for me. I didn't have to change my file name from Applicant What's New to 001 IPCS. So that is a pretty big feature that we think is going to help alleviate some concerns, that you don't have to keep renaming the files per the naming convention. It's just going to be the first initial submittal where you have to name the files per our naming convention, and then after that you can upload the files however you want using this new feature of uploading files as different file names. So that's the, again, feature there, and they have Learn Hows for those. So again, you can watch videos on those ones. After you've uploaded the files, you're able to see which files you've uploaded, and you're able to see like which ones are new, which ones still haven't been uploaded. And again, if you don't upload to a plan that has a change mark on there, the system will notify you, hey, we think there's still files that you need to replace because there's comments on them and they're not marked as info only. So if you have comments on those sheets, you're typically going to have to replace those sheets because they have comments on them. So that is the second brand new feature that is hopefully going to help the applicants, you as applicants, out in terms of the process. And the next step here is the same step as an applicant. You can add the applicant uploads. You can add applicants, add consultants, add people in applicant view only. Applicant view only, they can only view files. They can't download or respond to comments or do anything like that. And then you can also remove people from those different groups, depending on if you need to remove anybody from those groups. Step 4 is the same as in 9.1. You're basically confirming that you've addressed all the comments and responded to them. You've addressed all of the drawings, the drawing changes. You've uploaded those files. So these are just confirming that you've done all that. And step 5, after you're done, you would click on resubmit for review, and that would then send it back to the city. I'm not going to do that right now, just in case you have questions that I need to show you on the screen, that like the reviews tab that will be removed if I complete this task. So again, if I complete this task, the system removes permissions from you. You will no longer have upload permissions. You will no longer have this reviews tab. Again, this just shows up when you're at the stage of actually having a task to complete with revising plans and things of that nature. Before I open it up to questions, the last item that I will show is the difference between 9.1 and 9.2 on the viewer itself. So if I go ahead and I open up this review comment, what we saw earlier was now there's some additional items. Actually, I think you have to launch it from the review tab. Let me go back to the reviews tab and let me open up this comment. So the new feature that they've added on this review screen is now you'll see here a discussion history. It'll show you a place to provide your response. So if you're not going to go the route of doing the Excel sheet, as you have the file open for viewing with the change mark viewer turned on, you can go through between all of the different comments, and you can provide a response, save your response, and move on to the next comment. So as you're going through here, you can just keep clicking next. It'll take you to the next comment. You click on next, it'll take you to the next comment, and you're able to just go through each comment and provide your response directly as you're looking at each comment. Again, that's if you want to do it this route, or you have the option of doing the Excel sheet to answer all the comments through the Excel sheet. But this is a way for you to see what the comments were, what the discussion history is while you're viewing the plans themselves through the viewer, through SJePlans. And then you can continue through and looking and answering. And then if you're done with this, you can click on close, and that'll close the viewer and the plan that you had open, and you can then move on to the next plan sheet or whatever to add more comments to the plans. So that, in a nutshell, is pretty much all of the different changes from 9.1 to 9.2. So hopefully you saw some good upgrades or some good features that'll help you do your job better or easier than in the 9.1 version, and that it'll be a more pleasant experience as you move forward with version 9.2. So that's it.